Hey, what's going on, guys? Guess what? In my car again, just like old times. My favorite place to be. Not really. I just didn't have time to do anywhere else. So we're going to talk about a number of things today because this week has been very interesting, and there have been so many things in a short amount of time that I just didn't want to be limited to talking about one thing. So we're going to talk about a lot of things. So I got my notes here. So let's go through it, shall we? Try not to dilly-dally too long. The trending news story, the BuzzFeed article about Trump. They finally got him, guys. They finally got Trump after 2 years of them coming every couple of weeks with something new, saying, this is it, guys. We've got him. They nailed him. They've been saying that every single week, every couple of weeks, with something new for the past 2 years. But this time's different, guys. This time they really got him. This time they're going to impeach him because they found a bombshell. What was the bombshell? That he lied to Cohen about building a tower in Russia. Okay, well, what's the source for this? Well, it's an anonymous source. Oh, what a surprise. You know, the last time that BuzzFeed did an anonymous source, it turned out to be fake. It turned out to be someone who supports Trump, who pretended to be a source, who called BuzzFeed saying, hey, we've got this inside information about Trump doing something bad. And then it just trolled him. They trolled BuzzFeed. They gave him the fake information. They published it. And then everyone laughed saying, actually, we were trolling you. We just made it up. That was the last BuzzFeed anonymous source. So don't wait for me. I won't be waiting. To figure out what this anonymous source is that BuzzFeed had. Because BuzzFeed really has the integrity, the finest integrity of journalism. We can totally trust everything they say, so that when a crackpot website that on the level of College Humor or Huffington Post or Salon.com, they're on level with them with the amount of fake news and complete brain dead writers, brain dead everyone, all the staff who does everything. When they say we have an anonymous source that is going to bring charges against Trump that are so damning that it's going to be impeachable, really? You really expect me to believe that? That's like People magazine or Esquire or any of those crackpot magazines you see about aliens or lizard men. You know, like if they brought charges, or they said we have evidence that Obama is a lizard man, for example, that's the level of BuzzFeed. So you expect me to believe that when they post fake news after fake news almost every single day about Trump? You really expect me to believe that? You really expect me to believe that they publish fake news all the time? Obviously they hate Trump. Why would I trust them? Why are people going in circles around me in the parking lot? I have no idea. I don't know what's wrong with people. That was weird. My video was cut off for no reason. I'll have to watch that. I have plenty of space on my phone. Anyway, sorry about that. Okay, so the BuzzFeed things. Yeah, so where's I going with that? I'm going to call it here. The anonymous source is going to be bullshit. The charges is either going to be a troll or it's going to be someone who hates Trump, so he's making up shit. There is no evidence about any of this. There's no evidence of lying. There's no evidence of anything that the anonymous source is saying. It's just some person saying something. This is the level that Trump derangement syndrome has gotten these people, where they just make up shit with no evidence and call it journalism. Of course, this isn't new. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been happening for many, many years. But this is just the latest thing that everyone's talking about because they think this charge is so bad that they're going to impeach him over it. Well, no, you can't. JF did his video, his stream about it, and the thumbnail was Boromir doing like this. One can simply not. He says one can simply not impeach the president with a BuzzFeed article. It's just not going to happen, folks. I'm sorry. So we're done with that. That's hilarious. I'm interested to see how that turns out. Next thing is March for Our Life, which I completely agree with. I already did a video on why abortion is murder, and especially at the stage of the pregnancy that most states do it, the fetus is so developed by that point, it can do many human things, that it's completely justified to call it murder. And I know lots of people will go at me because of this. Lots of people don't agree with that. Why? Because they just don't, they don't want to look at it. Beside the point. I mean, we can talk about abortion for hours and hours and hours. It won't go anywhere. But the point that March for Life was that Mike Pence spoke at it and said that we are here for compassion. And of course, the liberal Nazis who love murdering babies by the millions every single year, they got mad at him. The constant line you see on the internet is like, why do Republicans care so much about fetuses, but as soon as that's born, they don't give a shit about it? Well, I'm like, I just don't know what you're talking about. That is absolutely not the case. Well, I know why you're saying that. Because Republicans won't give the child and the mom every single thing they need, just give it to them for free through government programs. That's why they say that Republicans hate babies, or hate them once they're born, but love them when they're fetus. That's what they're saying. It's like, no, you can care about a mom and her baby, but not support huge government programs that we can't afford to give them everything. That train horn has been blowing for like 10 minutes. I think almost as soon as I started this video, it's been blowing. Of course. Of course. God, no matter where I choose to make videos, there's just all these things here to annoy me. Anyway, sorry about the background noise. But anyway, so let's go back to the point. So they say Republicans don't care about babies once they're born because they don't want to give all these social services, all these expensive programs they don't have the money for once a kid is born. Well, the reason why we do that, because you have a right to life. Everyone has the right to live. It's not even the Constitution. I can't believe we have to say this, that you can't just kill someone. You have to do it. Like, the only justified killing is in self-defense. So you can't kill a baby. That is why Republicans, and not even Republicans, people who, there's a lot of libertarians, some Democrats who don't like abortion. It's not a single party thing, although it's true. Most of them are Republicans, not going to lie about that. But it's not just Republicans. It's not just a Republican issue. Again, another car doing circles in this parking lot. God almighty, these people around here are so weird. There's like 6 cars just driving around. Again, the train horn. This is amazing. I just can't have a moment's peace, can I, to make a video? Nope, there's got to be people driving around and train horns blaring the entire time. Anyway, back to the point. So the March for Our Lives, right, so that's why they're so adamant about not liking abortion, because you're violating someone's rights. A mother who has a kid does not have the right for the government to constantly give them all this money to live on. That's not your right. No, you have to earn it. I'm sorry that you're poor. And there are some government programs that do that. Again, entitlements are a huge chunk of our spending. But the fact that Republicans don't support it every single time, well, that means they don't care about the mother and kid. That's the point they get at when they say, why do Republicans care about fetuses so much, but as soon as it's born, they don't give a shit about it? No, that's not the case. They care about it throughout, in both stages. It's just that one of it is defending a life, and the other one is just giving people money for doing nothing. Oh my God. What is wrong with these people? I can't believe these people. I cannot believe. I had to move to a different parking lot because, of course, these people pull up right next to me, blaring the music real loud, which I love blaring my music, but why do you have to do it during the 20 minutes I am making a video? I have never done a video in that parking lot before. And you have the entire parking lot to yourself, and you pull up right next to me, and all these kids start just hooping, hollering, yelling at each other. It's like, of course, all of that shit happens when I'm trying to make a video. So let's continue on, guys. This is how much I love you guys. This is how much I love ranting to my phone. I'm going through all this effort just to make a low-quality video of me talking. So March for Life. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I just want to, in summary, just point out the hypocrisy. Not the hypocrisy, but just how the claim that Republicans don't care about babies once they're born, but care about them when they're fetus, somehow, I just want to refute that claim, because that claim really pisses me off. And also to refute the claim that just because you don't give someone everything every single time they ask for it with no conditions from someone else's money, taxpayer money, that doesn't mean you don't like them or don't care about them. Like, it's just that logic makes absolutely no sense. So that's for a few things. I'm tired of that shit. Contrast the March to Life with the Women's March. The Women's March is rife with infighting, anti-Semitism, supports things that just don't really help women. They're anti-gun, which guns are the great equalizer for women. It allows a 110-pound woman to instantly kill a 280-pound man who would do all sorts of harm to her. Gun rights are women's rights. A woman, that is the best way for a woman to defend herself. They constantly complain about violence towards women, assault, rape, whatever. Just like, you know what would solve that? If women carried guns and knew how to use them very well. Guns are used between 2 and 3 million times a year in this country on average in defensive situations. A good chunk of that are used by women. Women who otherwise would be a victim in a situation. They wouldn't be a stat in defending themselves. They would be in a stat of victim of assault, burglary, rape, whatever. But they're not, because they have a gun and they know how to use it. The Women's March is anti-male. They were huge on the Kavanaugh hearings, where they believe that women should have the right to accuse men with no evidence, no witnesses. The only witnesses actually in that fact say, I have no idea what you're talking about. No evidence, no back-end witnesses, can go back decades and decades and decades. And we should believe them no matter what. And that man's who's been accused, his life should be ruined forever. Think of the dystopian world if the people in charge for the March for Women were actually in charge of his country. We would have no guns. Criminals still have guns. And they can do all these sorts of crime, and no one can stop them, because you think the police are going to stop them? You think how effective the police are? Police can stop some crimes, but usually the police are just there after the crime to document it. Another train. What a surprise. Just keeps on getting better and better, guys. The social hierarchy in this country would be so radically different that women would be in first class and men would be in second class, where women would be able to do whatever they want to them and get away with it. They would just accuse them of things, and then their lives would be ruined, their careers would be ruined, their marriages would be ruined, they would have custody of their kids because they're a sexual predator, whatever. This is the world they want to create. They also support Black Lives Matter, which is a whole different thing of how they would have a hierarchy caste system with minorities at the top and white men at the bottom. Women don't realize, the white women in this movement don't realize that they're doing a movement that's going to hurt themselves, because no, the minorities are not going to take care of you once you have this whole Black Lives Matter hierarchy caste system that you support. The Women's March does support Black Lives Matter in that regard. So I just want to contrast that movement with the March for Life, who supports defending people's rights, who supports people's rights instead of taking away their rights. The Women's March doesn't want due process. No, just an accusation is enough. They don't want the Second Amendment. They want to do away with a huge chunk of the Bill of Rights. Meanwhile, the March for Life is trying to push to defend people's rights. The most important one, the right to life. Now I'm going to talk about a local issue. I did a video a while back how Governor Ralph Northam will be a horrible governor, and he tried to do something last week that I said he was going to do. He said he was going to do, his supporters want him to do, and I warned people about, but they voted for him anyway, because liberals just don't care about people's rights. Especially in this state, they voted for someone who openly supports gun control, who had an F rating by the NRA, who openly said, yeah, I want to ban assault rifles, I want to ban magazines larger than 10 rounds, I want to do all this stuff that grossly violates the Second Amendment, obviously, but no one cares. I shouldn't say no one cares. The Republican legislature cared enough to block all of his initiatives, but the vast majority of people in the states, which is why we're blue all the time, don't care. They don't care about my right and your rights to have a gun of self-defense, because they view guns as evil. If we just ban all the guns, then there won't be any murder. Or there'll be so few because they think that guns commits, how to explain this? Like, people killed by rifles is like 400, 500 in this country. That's it, a year. That's it. Well, that's tragic. It's only 400 or 500. You know how much people die in car accidents? 50,000 a year. Tobacco and alcohol kill many times more. And they are so fixated on the 400 or 500 deaths caused by rifles. Again, I made a previous video how if they were to simply banning the AR-15, that one gun control measure, if they honestly banned that and went door to door to confiscate it and got rid of every single AR-15 in the US, that would start the Second American Civil War. That would result in the deaths of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans. So, Ralph Northam and his other Democratic fucks, his stupid fascist cronies, in order to save 400 or 500 people a year, they want policies that would kill hundreds of thousands. Let's just be generous to say it's on the low end spectrum of the Second American Civil War. It's like, that's kind of hyperbolic, Robert. Why are you saying that just banning one rifle would cause the Second American Civil War? You know why? Because when they would go to people's homes and say, we know you have an AR-15, give it to us, a lot of people are going to say, fuck you, and shoot the cops, shoot the police, shoot whoever is coming to take their guns. It would be an uprising. The police would have to attack people to get the guns. People would rise up. Some police officers wouldn't be okay with it. The military would step in. Some military people wouldn't be okay with it. It would just cause havoc. It would cause a civil war. By banning one gun, because that gun is so common. There are hundreds of thousands of them in this country. Maybe tens of thousands. I forget the exact number. More than tens of thousands. That's the problem. It's the most popular rifle in the US and you want to ban it. It's like, well, let's just not do door-to-door confiscation. We're just going to pay you hit you with a fine if you don't turn your gun. Well, what if I don't pay the fine? Then you're going to have to arrest me because I'm not paying the fine. And then the same problem's going to happen. You're going to try to arrest all these people who aren't paying the fine because they won't turn in their AR-15s, and then they're going to get shot, and it's going to start a civil war. This is what they don't understand. They don't care. They think rifles are so evil. Like, if you ask this stereotypical Democrat, how many people do you think die by AR-15s every year? They probably say thousands. It's like 300. It's like a percentage of the 500 people killed by rifles. It's like a minuscule amount. And while that's sad, yes, it's 300 people out of 330 plus million people. You have to put it in perspective. That is such a small percentage of Americans killed every year. And you want to enact policy that would kill way more. That's the problem. The problem is that those people dying by rifles, it's not like I don't care about it. It's not that I'm saying, oh, it's insignificant, we shouldn't care about it, we shouldn't do anything to solve it. What I'm saying is, don't enact a policy that would make it 1,000 times worse. Enact policy to bring that down to zero as close as possible. And to be honest, out of, again, 330 million people, if you can bring down the deaths down to 500, that's pretty fucking good. For the amount of guns we have in this country, we have an exceptionally low rate of gun deaths. Now, people will constantly say, oh, we have so much higher than other developed countries. Well, you know what else we have more of than developed countries? Gangs. And you know how much gun violence is caused by gangs? Like 97%. So if we got rid of the gangs, that would eliminate 97% of gun violence. It's like 99% plus. It's like 97, 99 percentile, I forget off the top of my head. It's in that range of gun crimes are committed by people who don't legally own those guns. Why do you think that banning lawful people from lawfully owning guns, why do you think that's going to lower the crime? It's going to lower the gun crime by 1%. 3% if it's actually 97% caused by illegal obtained firearms. So 1 to 3%. You're going to enact all these policies that's going to reduce the deaths by 1 to 3%. While causing hundreds of thousands, if not millions more. How does that make any sense whatsoever? I know numbers, Democrats don't understand numbers. They really don't. They don't understand how few people are killed by people who legally own rifles. It is such a minuscule amount. And we are a huge country. So I'm happy that the Republican legislature in my state, in Virginia, blocked every single one of his fascist, horrible policies. His big government, anti-Constitution, anti-American policies, they shot down every single one of them. Which, sadly, is making me considering, like I'm on the fence, like I'm just thinking about, the radicalization of the Democrats are forcing me to become a one-issue voter, because the Republican legislature was the only thing standing in the way of all of these horrible policies that would cause so much death and destruction. They were the only thing that stopped it. If the Democrats controlled the legislature, they would have passed all those policies. In my state, I just can't imagine just how awful it would be for this state to have people killing the police killing people, the military getting involved, just a war zone. That's what it would cause. It would cause people to live in fear of the government because at any time they're going to break in and steal my gun. That's mine by the Constitution, lawfully. It would create a police state. It would create an actual hellhole of the police being oppressive fascist entities, and people would live in fear of them. They would fight back. It would be horrible. And the Republican legislature was the only thing that stopped them. So while I don't agree with the Republicans on many issues, the fact that the gun rights are the most important thing, in my opinion, because you have the right to life and you have the right to use the gun to defend your right to life. The fact that they were the only thing that defends that, that is just so hugely important to me. That's more important than every single issue. Now, is it more important than every single other issue combined? No. When I vote for Republicans when there's a libertarians running in that particular field, it kind of annoys me, yeah, because I don't like some of the Republicans on issues. They're trying to raise the age of smoking to 21. That's so stupid. Legal adults should be able to smoke. You shouldn't raise it to 21. The drinking age and the smoking age should be 18. I don't agree with that at all. But on the grand scheme of things, whether we're talking about avoiding a second American Civil War, or, yeah, it's annoying for some people who are between 18 and 20 who can't smoke, guess which one I'm going to choose? I don't even smoke. I don't care. But on principle, I don't agree with that policy. But again, on the scale of importance, that's like a 1 out of 10 compared to the gun rights thing, which is a clear 10 out of 10. And that's why it's forcing me to become a single issue voter. Gun rights are the most important thing to me, and I'm going to vote for the people who's going to protect them against the radical Democrats who just seem hell-bent on trying to get rid of them. So those are the 4 topics I wanted to cover. There's some other topics, but I'm getting tired. There's always other times for other videos. They're non-time sensitive issues. But those are the 4 main things. The BuzzFeed article, the March for Life, contrasting with the Women's March, and Ralph Northam on gun control. That was my news roundup for the week. See you later, folks. Ba-dum dun. And if, you know, like on cable news, whenever I say good night, folks, and they play some like stupid little tune on the outro, you know, yeah, I'm really done.